Welcome to the post-run cooldown. We are going to start with sun salutations, which is starting by taking a deep breath in and out as you lean forward to touch your toes, go into a high plank, lower down into a chaturanga so you can feel the stretch into the front of your hips, push up into down dog, and then slowly drop one heel down and then the other in order to be able to feel the stretch all the way through the back of the leg, the hamstring, and the calf. I normally do 10 on each leg in order to give it time to be able to loosen up. As you free up, walk your hands closer so you can get the stretch through the mid-back. You're going to look up and hop up and then take a deep breath in and out and repeat. And we're going to go through 3 times through a full sun salutation. On the second time through, it should feel a little bit easier to stretch. You can get a little bit deeper into the stretch. Again, focusing on pushing your tailbone up towards the sky and getting as much elongation out of the back of the legs as possible. Really focus on stability in the shoulders as you're here and continue to work on that breath. As you hop up, use your breath to breathe up, and then you're going to come back down into a stretch for the quadriceps. So going into a half kneel, you're able to lunge into the stretch to get the stretch into the front of the hip as well as into the entire length of the quadriceps. By being able to reach with the opposite hand, you're going to open up some of the muscles in the low back, the quadratus lumborum being one of them, and you want to continue to breathe as you stretch. Grabbing your leg with the opposite arm is also going to open up the front of your chest. This allows you to be able to get that pec stretch in at the same time as being able to open up the diaphragm and stretch the quad. Multiple things at once. When you switch sides, do the same exact thing. You're going to slowly let the quad stretch, go deeper into the lunge to open up into the front of the hip. As everything relaxes, reach across to open up the stretch into the side of the body, while you're also breathing, relaxing, letting the front of the chest open up. Again, as it relaxes, go a little bit deeper each time, never provoking pain, but always being able to slowly build length into the muscles. Now, as you stretch into the next muscle, we're going to go into the piriformis stretch or hip rotators. Pigeon pose is a nice way to be able to do this because you're going to be able to get hip rotator stretch on one side, and then on the other side you're also going to be stretching into the front of the opposite hip. This is a great way to be able to get more done at once. As you sink deeper into the stretch, you're going to be able to feel that the leg is a little bit easier to move, and you can really push into the back of the hip that you're stretching the rotators on. And don't worry about leaning forward. Really try and keep as upright as possible, because that's going to be able to actually get a little bit deeper into the rotators. If you just lean forward as much as you can, sometimes you can lose the amount of stretch in the hip rotators. So notice that the front leg, the foot is and knee, we're trying to get about a 90-degree angle at that knee. Instead of letting the foot come too close to the front of the other hip, you really want to try and get that 90-degree angle in the knee that's in front of you. That's going to really get more hip rotation stretch, so just trying to get as much as possible out of it. Same time as you're really working on your breathing through the diaphragm. Let this be cool down time. This is mindfulness time. You're checking in on how your body's feeling and just making sure that nothing is hurting. As things don't feel like they're as difficult to stretch, you just sink deeper. Now, when you end the stretching, you can use this time to work on some mobilization. So lying on your side and doing some open books are going to be a great way to work on getting the spine moving. This is also an exercise where, again, we're going to be focusing on our breathing. So you're going to inhale as your hands are together, and then you're going to exhale as you reach around and open up into rotation. So as the exhale happens, you're really letting all the muscles in the front of the chest relax, the muscles in the torso relax, and then you're going to repeat this on the other side, because runners need to be able to rotate through the spine. Same with walkers, same with anybody that is going to be doing what we call alternate reciprocal motion. That's going to be moving one arm and one leg on opposite sides of the body. Driving this motion in an alternate reciprocal way is what creates efficiency. So doing our open books is going to be a nice way to make your walking more efficient, but then also make your running more efficient. I'm doing in this one, my knee is dropping down to the surface, which in this video is the ground. You can stack your legs if that's a little bit too much stretch. If you want more stretch, then you let that top knee drop all the way down. And just turning your head with your arm is also just another technique to get a little bit further with the stretch. Then I'm going to end the cool down with some diaphragmatic breathing. So by putting one hand on the top of the chest and one hand at the bottom of the rib cage, you'll be able to check and see if you're actually breathing through the diaphragm or if you're doing upper chest breathing. So what this means is that the hand on the top of the chest should feel no motion. So the rib cage should be nice and still and quiet. The hand at the bottom of the rib cage, or the upper part of the abdomen, is where you want to feel the movement happening. This is a great way to just add some mindfulness to the end of your routine and add some meditation to the end of your routine. It's going to be breathing in through the nose, letting that abdomen fill with air, and then breathing out through the mouth. You don't have to focus on a certain amount of time for breathing in or a certain amount of time for breathing out. Meet yourself where you are. You can visualize a wave that's moving through the ocean. You can just pay attention to the ambient sound around you. Everybody's a little bit different with what they use during this breathing technique, but this is going to be a really, really nice way to just let the whole body simmer down, let the mind simmer down, get the most out of that exercise, because you are really filling your body, your health, your mind with movement. As you go through this practice, you'll notice that your entire nervous system starts to calm down, and you can really start to become more present with, how is my body feeling? Do I have an ache somewhere? Do I have, something that is still feeling tight? And you can kind of put your minds at rest to say, okay, I know I can do something about that. You might be anxious about what you have to do later in that day. You can recognize that thought and then say, okay, I'm going to attend to that. I have a plan for how I'm going to do that, and not let your thoughts start to get overwhelming. You need to take time, and if it's just 30 seconds, to just be still and quiet. There's so much good that happens when we just are still and we can breathe, that it's going to fulfill your body for the rest of the day and get your nervous system as calm as possible so that you're not so amped. When we're amped all the time, we actually lose focus and we lose concentration, and then we are more reactive instead of being proactive. So combining mindfulness with meditation and exercise is such a great way to fill your body and be able to prepare yourself for what's going to happen in the rest of the day. You're going to have interactions with people, with potential work. You're going to have all sorts of distractions that are going to happen. You're going to be pulled in so many different directions as the day goes on, or as the night goes on, or whenever you're practicing this. So being able to just take that time to focus on your breath, focus on how you're feeling, you as an individual, how you're feeling, and let all of those anxieties and worries and fears and distractions of the day not bother you, at least in this moment. At least in this moment, you're able to have peace. And the more that you can find that peace, the better you're going to be able to have resiliency as the day goes on. That resiliency, you'll notice, gets easier as you practice. So practicing your mindfulness is something that is a daily activity. Start with just 30 seconds to a minute. Just once a day, 30 seconds to a minute of being fully quiet. Just breathing, being able to take in what's around you, and notice what's important and that you need to focus on and what's not. And it's going to help you be able to triage and problem solve what's a pure stress and what's something that is just trying to distract you and pull you away from what's important. So if you can build that practice into close to 5 minutes, that's going to be a really great practice to do on a daily basis. So once you're done with your breathing, take a nice long stretch overhead, really tap into how your body's feeling, and then you're done and you can go about your day knowing that you've done what you need.